Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and this is my week in all sorts of odds and ends. Okay, let's start with these guys. Whoops. I pulled up the... Good, off to a good start. These guys were at my grocery store. I assume for Canada Day, because, you know, it's a beaver and a moose. But these are those little palm... whatever they're called. What are they called? Palm pals. They just sit in your hand because their butts are weighted with grains of, I don't know, plastic probably. Anyway, they're super cute and I love them. I also wanted to mention the music I was listening to this time because I know that Rachel sometimes has done that. Second thoughts about the mission, and I always enjoy that and then I always forget to do it. So this week, in addition to using the Witch Sisters Tarot, I was listening to Hamilton because, I mean, why not? But also they were, for their 10th anniversary, they hit a bit at the Tonys. And I don't listen to, I don't watch award shows because they're boring. And I'm allergic to listening to people give speeches. But I did watch that bit, which was fun. And then I watched it again every time it came up on Instagram and just listened to the whole thing. So yeah, I listened to the Doctor Who soundtrack a lot, and Kendrick Lamar. I really like a lot of his lyrics, and he's on some kind of tour at the moment. And then Mozart's Requiem by the Berliner Philharmoniker, which is gorgeous. It's amazing. And I felt like this might sound weird to some people, which is fine, but the energy in my apartment felt like it needed a refresh at one point. And that felt like the thing, because I'm a weirdo. So that was fun. Also, I got this Witch Sisters out because it has a lot of stag imagery in it, and that is the animal of the month from, I'm trying to remember her name. She used to be Cosmic Creeper. Now Animals in Arcana, I think is her name on YouTube. Anyway, it's a stag this month. Hello, stag. So, which, actually, I'm going to stop talking about this for a quick second to mention the things I've been doodling, because I don't have a lot of arts and crafts to show today, but I did decide I was going to draw a stag skull. So I started the outline and attached the antlers because the skull photo, or reference photo that I'm using, just has the skull, but I really like the contradiction between some of the smooth lines. There's a lot of shadow here, which obviously you can't see because there's no charcoal yet. And then the rough jaggedy bits that have worn down or gotten chewed out or whatever, as happens out in the woods. And then I was out for a walk today and drew some friendly neighborhood plants. The wild rose I actually kind of like how it turned out. The lilac, not so much. I haven't figured out how to draw lilacs yet in a way that I like. Willows, really like this leaf. It's cute. Dandelions that had a bunch of... I didn't know how to do the shadows in a satisfying way, but it had a lot of grass nearby, casting shadows all over it. And then, what else? Burdock, some black poplar, and some Saskatoon berries, which have baby berries now, which is so exciting. Okay, other tarot things I've been using. This deck for how to deal with the world, which is sometimes pure chaos and struggle, but also joy and beauty and a lot of creativity. So this has been lovely for that. I'm just reaching over to the other side of my desk. This yesterday, day before, I can't remember. Anyway, it seemed fitting. So I've still been using this one a lot, as I did last week, I think. And then I got When Olga Speaks last week. I don't know. I think I've talked about it in one video. I can't remember. Anyway, it's beautiful and I love it. And oh yeah, I did mention it in one video because the tariff fees killed me. But somebody on one of the Discord chats that I'm in was using it with the Herbcrafters, which works surprisingly well. Would not have thought of that originally, but I really enjoy it together. So that's what I did yesterday during my breaks from work because I was working from home. So yeah, it goes surprisingly well together. Didn't see that coming, but I'm very glad that somebody else did. I can't remember who it was. But it's so, yeah. So this is going to stay out of my desk all week, I think, because of course it is. So that's my tarot, the tarot odds and ends that I've been using this week. And then, what else? Books. Okay, so I listened to, what's it called? Hang on. Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. I always get the title wrong somehow. It was really funny. It was funnier than I thought it would be. It's a murder mystery that's involves a lot of deaths of animals and also people. But it's the main female character is so, the way she talks is so interesting. It just really held my interest, and yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. And then I listened to audiobooks for The Blood Feast. So this is a short story collection from Malika Moustadraf, and she's Moroccan. Well, she was. She's passed away. And I actually really liked the translator note at the end because it provided a lot of context that, not being Moroccan, I don't have. But even in North America, I think a lot of her stories about sex and feminism and sometimes homosexuality. There's one character who's either, I assume, intersex, but could be trans as well, would be a little edgy. And so obviously there are some people in Morocco who really, really didn't like her. And she died quite young, I think in her 30s, of kidney disease because she couldn't get the medical care that she needed. But she also had trouble being published. She, I think at one point, used some of her money for medical care to get her first collection published. And yeah, she just seems like she would have been a really interesting person to know and pushed a lot of people's buttons. But she insisted on writing about the things that she wanted to write about without having to censor herself just because she was a woman who was doing the writing. So that's very much what she did. And it was, yeah, it was really good. This one I also really liked. It's completely different. This is The Blazing World by Siri Hustvedt. I think she's American. Yeah, lives in Brooklyn. It's a strange one. Oh, she was compared to Neck Above on the back. That's funny, because I was thinking of Pale Fire as I was reading this, which has a bit of, there's a bit of similarity to Pale Fire in that it's what are those novels called where they're all comprised of different documents? There's a word for that, but I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's all interviews and articles and people telling their stories to journalists and whatnot after the fact. And this is a written statement from somebody's article in a magazine. But it's so well constructed, and it's very frustrating because the basic premise, overly simplifying it dramatically, is a woman who's an artist. But in the visual arts world, it's very misogynistic, I guess, still patriarchal, and something like 70% of solo shows are still by men. Like, it's a ridiculous percentage, or at least when this was written, that was the case. 2014, so just over 10 years ago. Maybe it's a little bit different now, but I doubt it's completely different. And a couple of the men, you do want to smack them. And a couple of points, because they're just, the lack of self-awareness is so impressive, really. I don't know how some people do that. But she has these 3 different men that she sort of uses as fronts for her artwork, and they present her artwork as theirs to see if it will be received differently, and it's fascinating. I finally finished, let's talk about this one first. American War was really good. This is a sort of apocalyptic book. It says post-apocalyptic, but I'm not so sure it was just actually apocalyptic, since it was in the middle of the Second Civil War, which there are a lot of things in this book. When was this written? A minute ago now. But there were certain things that, I tell you, with the things going on in the States right now, 2017, a little too plausible. Just saying, a little too plausible. So a few southern states secede again, and there's a civil war again, and I think part of California reverts to Mexico or something. And so it's this one woman who was just a girl at the beginning of the book. It follows the story of her life and how she becomes the person she becomes, and how a person can be transformed by horrific experiences of war into just a completely unrecognizable person, even a terrorist, or what some people would call terrorists. I mean, it depends which side you're on, I suppose. But she's human, and it really demonstrates how a human being can be turned into a weapon, and how sometimes disconcertingly easy that is to do. Just, killing the right people at the right time, obviously. That's if you're trying to develop somebody as a soldier for your cause. It was a strange perspective to read about, because it's not in stories of war or even apocalypse, it's not the usual perspective, but it was really, really well written, and for a debut novel, it was pretty impressive. He's the one who wrote one day when this is all over, or what's it called? One day everyone will have always been against this. He had that tweet about the genocide in Palestine, and he wrote that book. And so this was his first novel. He's got a second novel out that I've got to read now, because I've really enjoyed both of his books so far, and this one was so good. And I finished, finally, Icelandic Plant Magic, Folk Herbalism of the North. It was a lot of fun. There are a lot of plants, it's funny, there are a lot of plants that are really familiar, and then some plants that are so specific to a specific region that I've never heard of before in my life. Like, some of them just grow above the Arctic Circle or whatever, and I just find that sort of thing fascinating. So juniper, obviously, I've heard of. So it's a whole collection of books. Evans, I think we've got here, but I've never seen any. But they might be endangered, I don't know. Orchids, there are native orchids in Saskatchewan, or in Alberta, but they're also a bit endangered. Lodgepole pine, we've obviously got quite a lot of here, and I love it. And then after this section, he goes into a bit about some fungi, working different types of things you can do with them, the Norse gods, tools of the work, and then different blends and for tea or oils, or some of them obviously are not edible, being quite poisonous. And there's a way to make ink out of one of the mushrooms. It's a pretty cool book. He's got another one called Icelandic Folk Magic, I think. I want to read that one now too, because this one I really liked. And I finished as well Villette by Charlotte Brontë. I loved this book. I loved it. I will say, reading this now is sort of like reading The Tenant of Wildfell Hall now by Anne Brontë. It is so different to read when you're 40 than when you're 20. Like, it's a world of difference. And so I appreciate this book in a different way now. It's really beautiful. I read one review on Goodreads or something where somebody was complaining about how one of the male characters was a bit abusive. And I mean, maybe it could be read in that way, but also it was 200 years ago. I mean, it's set 200 years ago in a vastly different time and place. And the expectations were completely different. And also the prospects for women were completely different and abysmal generally. So I don't know. That didn't bother me. Also, I sort of felt like they played sort of mental games with each other a little bit. Like, once she figured out what he was doing, she was in on it, if that makes sense. Anyway, it's a beautiful book, and I love it, and now I've just got to read Shirley, and then I'll have reread all the Brontes in the last couple of years, which is fun. And then the last book I've read that I finally finished is Neige de lune brisées, The Moon of the Crusted Snow, by Webgeisha Grace. It is a beautiful book. I loved it. I think I liked it more reading it the second time than I did the first time. I did have to glue some of the pages back in because they popped out as I was reading it. But it is a sort of apocalyptic story set on a reserve in Ontario that's a bit removed from Toronto. It's north of Toronto. So they don't know exactly what's going on in the south, but they know something's gone really wrong, and power has been out. Goes out for months, and like food deliveries and everything stops, and communication stops, and it's some sort of eerie apocalyptic environment that they're living in. It's also, you know, a northern-ish Canadian winter that they live through, and it's a fascinating story of this community and how they respond to this crisis. So yeah, I think I've got a little clip of my garden, and then that sums up my week. It's a beautiful sunny day out on the balcony, and my garden's doing kind of okay, which is lovely. I've got some marigolds. There's a little too much chickweed here. This pot is just now the chickweed pot. I've given up. I think I'd have to remove all of the potting soil at this point to get rid of the chickweed. Fringed sagebrush is lovely, and I'm a sucker for any sort of purple or red plants, so red lettuces are the thing for me. This is dill. More lettuces. The Auric has slightly taken over my garden, but because it's purple, I let it. And it's tasty, so I don't mind so much. The tomatoes are doing all right, I think. Yep, that's just an Auric pot at the moment. But it's doing okay. Things are filling in all the gaps. I have to do something about the excess of yarrow, though, because it's going a little bit haywire. Oh, and so is the nettle. I still haven't done anything with the nettle. I will, at some point, make some muffins or something. I really got to do that. It's getting a little out of control. But anyway, this is my cute little balcony garden. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.